Yes, hello, good afternoon. It is 14 o'clock, at least on my watch here. So I would very much and warmly like to welcome you to our second RFC Network and RNE Europe session, which will be today about process tools. And I see that already many are connected. I think if I see it right, around 50, the number is still increasing. I think we received about 150 or more than 150 registrations. We know that sometimes not everybody connects, but we also know that sometimes even some colleagues which have not registered are connecting as well. So I see there's a big interest in this topic. And my name is Gerd Trocher. I'm the managing director of the AIMBE Rail Freight Corridor. And before going into some organizational aspects of our meeting today, I would like to hand over the floor to Harald Reisinger, Chief Information Officer of RNE Europe, who also would like to say some welcome words to you. Please, Harald.
Yes, thank you very much. And also thank you for organizing these common meetings with the corridors and our need together on this really interesting topic. And we see it with the people participating. We always have quite interesting matters, but today we are speaking about one of the most successful applications in the railway industry. We're having a big focus on the train information system. So we are really looking forward for the discussions and for presenting you where we are with the system at the moment. And we're looking forward to this kind of cooperation with the corridors, also for other, let's say, information sessions related to the different activities we are doing together. And yeah, giving back to you, Gerd, again, and let's the meeting begin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Harald. And I know you will also be one of the presenters later. We have 3 interesting presentations today from 4 presenters, so also your colleagues will be involved here. So I do not want to say much more. I hope you can see on the screen now the PowerPoint presentation. Please let me know if I'm correct. With the welcome slide. So I jump immediately to the few organizational aspects for our meeting. You see the meeting guidelines here. For the first, as in the first session as well, you don't need to make any screenshots. All the presentations which will be shown today will also be shared with you afterwards. And also one important additional information is that you should be aware of that this session is recorded and it will also be published on the RFC Network YouTube channel. So this is only to allow also you and also other interested parties and stakeholders to still follow up on these presentations which will be shown today. Also, as usual in such kind of meetings as today, please mute your microphone and also disable your video when you're not speaking. Of course, if you are speaking later in the discussions, you can activate your video and also naturally also your micro, but please deactivate it then afterwards. So in order to ask questions, you simply raise your hand. I will try to follow this here on my team screen. If I should miss anybody, even after some waiting, please simply take the floor. So you may also use the chat, of course. So also any questions which arise during the presentations, please feel free to write them down in the chat. And we will then take them up in the discussion afterwards. All the presenters will have 25 minutes for the presentations, and this will be followed by 10 minutes of discussions and questions and answers afterwards. So hopefully we can address all the points which are relevant for you. Here you see on the screen now the agenda for today. So the overarching, let's say, topic of our session today are process tools. And as first speaker, we will have Nectarios Zacharias. He will tell us about the TIS system, especially on the functionalities which are of most useful for the ALUs. Second presentations we have Peter Šišulak, also from RNE Europe, who will tell us about the TIS support for incident management. And then we will have two presenters, Harald Reisinger and Josef Stahl, both from RNE, and inform us about digital train 2.0 and Eta, so especially with a focus on terminals. So I do not want to say more now. I give the floor to Nektarios. Please present your speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerard, for this introduction. I'm very happy that I'm here today with the rest of the participants. My name is Nektarios Zacharias. I'm working for RNE for the last 3 years. I have the pleasure to be the head of TIS, or Train Information System, or simply TIS, as we say within our company. And today I'm going to show you and will display to you a few, let's say, basic functionalities about the application, what the application can do, how it can be useful for the users, and in general, what is the benefits for your railway organization. Before doing that, I would like, first of all, to share a very short video. It's only 1.5 minutes to give you some, let's say, heads up about the application. And shortly after, I will catch you for the rest with the presentation and the live demo. So catch you back in 1.5 minutes.
TIS, the Train Information System, is an information system which was developed by RailNet Europe on behalf of the European infrastructure managers. International rail transport is gaining importance, not only for passengers, but also for freight. Big factories no longer store their resources in big warehouses. Nowadays, resources are always in motion and go directly from transport into the manufacturing process. Many loads are transported in containers. These containers change transport modality via transshipment at big terminals. Terminals, railway undertakings, and infrastructure managers want to track their transports in order to determine a reliable estimated time of arrival. This information is collected using RNE's big data platform, which then provides data to TIS. TIS collects information on all cross-border trains as well as national trains. All European infrastructure managers supply TIS with their own timetables and up-to-date information, such as running information, reasons for delay, and running forecasts. Exchange of information takes place via the so-called common interface to TIS. TIS then sends the data collected from all infrastructure managers to the big data platforms of railway undertakings, infrastructure managers, and terminals. Dispatchers all over Europe also have access to TIS in order to manage border traffic, together with the IMs of neighboring countries, with the help of the real-time information provided in TIS.
So that was a very short video about what this can do. We heard about a lot of useful words, such as terminals, estimated time of arrival. Those are the key words that really makes the difference in this application. And we are very happy that we are part of this IT tool. Here in RNE, we offer 3 major services. And the first one, and very basic, is the TIS web application. And the TIS web application, it's the application that I will demonstrate to you shortly after this presentation. And we will make some, let's say, use cases about how the application is working. The second service that we provide in the TIS team is the data provisioning and data share and data exchange with the companies. So we have the possibility that we collect information through those TAF messages, and we can share with your organization this data based on certain rules and certain IT common structure. The third service that we provide is the reporting services, and we have a dedicated group that works on our database. We call it data warehouse, which means it collects all the data and makes all the processing, and we can have specific reports according to your needs, always, of course, with your collaboration and your input in order to achieve the result and the outcome that you really want to take into your computer. I would like now to start with a few slides and give you the idea what this can do and how things are working in TIS. So first of all, I would like to say that this is currently used in 25 countries in Europe. It's been used by 220 companies, and it's been used by nearly 3,000 users on a monthly basis. So you see on the graph here that for February 2022, the unique users that use the application sum up to almost 2,900, and which of them 1,317 were using this through their mobile devices. And I will come to that a little bit later because it's a very important feature as well. So speaking about trains, TIS is mostly focusing on the international traffic, but we can also observe and monitor national traffic as well. So for January 22, we had unique trains which sum up to 600,080 and 629, and the majority of those were the 57% national traffic. The rest, the 43%, is about international train, which the freight is the 17% and the passenger it's the other 23%. Here on the map you can see the split of the trains according to the data that we collect, and we see that the majority of those mostly comes from the center part of Europe. The fundamental question that this replies is, where is my train? So as soon you log into the application, you will see a lot of information, you will see a lot of trains, a lot of colors, and practically what we are doing here is that we connect national paths into international. So we have a sophisticated search panel that will allow the user to spot the correct train and display all the information that we collect about timetable, about actual running information, what is the delay, if there are any forecasts, if there are any delays, and so on. And all of these are looking in a very straight line, I would say. So here on the example that you have on the screen, we can see, for example, a train that starts from the south border of Hungary in Kelebia, and through Austria and Germany, it's moving towards Olen in Belgium. So what the user will see in the end, it's going to be one line, one train, and we do all the necessary work in the background with what we used to say the linking concept. And the linking concept is simple as a concept, but it has, let's say, some difficulties on configuration level, which we always overcome. And it's about consist a region at the border section with two or more locations. So trains that arrive or depart from that location, this linking region, they will get a flag of possible linking candidate, and then we have certain criteria in order to make a cross check if these trains are belong together. And that contains same operational train numbers. It contains adjacent operational train numbers, meaning plus minus one from the other side. It contains groups of trains that we know before that, that, for example, train number 3 can be linked with train number 10. Or we use information from the train composition messages that we receive, and we check the load of the wagon and then count of the wagons if it matches at least by 80%. So by doing that, we have a full, let's say, view of the application and the train run, how it looks. Speaking about the mobile, the mobile users, we introduced the mobile optimization for mobile devices. And we know, as you saw on the previous graph, that we have users nearly 1,300 that connect to TIS through their mobile device, which normally it's a smartphone. So what we did, we simplified the application in order to shrink everything into this small screen of a smartphone. So as the user connects with their credentials, he receives immediately the search panel in order to apply his filtering and which kind of train is trying to find. And eventually he will receive the results, and there is a button that will allow him to switch between the map and the search panel. Of course, he has the possibility again to expand the train details, and I will cover that on my live demo. Lastly, I would like to say that we have our support queue. It's called, the email address is support.tis@rne.eu. We reply between Monday and Friday, 9 to 5, except of national holidays. And as you can see on the graph, we receive, I would say, a lot of requests from the community in order to support them, in order to help them, in order to investigate cases that maybe something is not visible or stuff like that, or simply to reply to simply request user requests. Enough with the presentation. I would switch right away to the live demo and just to see how it looks. And that is the first page of TIS. So the moment we connect, of course, by having credentials, we will see all the trains on the map. And from that view, we can, of course, zoom in and zoom out, just in case we know where our train is right now. And this is the moment where we see all the active running trains. Of course, it can be the case that we have different use case scenarios. We want to monitor trains that are currently running. We have cases where the train completed the train run, and we will do some examples like that. So for this demo, we will assume I'm a rail cargo user, and I would like to search for specific trains or specific regions on the map. So we have here with this button the search panel, which can be expanded and can be removed if we want to have the whole map or not. And for that particular example, I will assume I'm a rail cargo user. And here on the search panel, I have plenty of fields that I can select or unselect. And I will say that I'm a rail cargo user by putting the company code here. And I will select the Austrian part of rail cargo, and I would like to monitor the traffic between Austria and Hungary. Right now, just to get the feel what is about the traffic in this specific region. So we have a search filter, which is called a linking region. And here I will type Nickelsdorf and Hegesalom. And immediately the application recognizes my search. By clicking the search button, I receive 18 results. And that means I already shrinked my first and initial search, which had 1,000 results. And if I zoom in, I will see that those trains are going through this linking region, this border section. So it might be that they are there or they passed through this location at a certain point of time. And with that, let's say, search, I can narrow down my results and I can check the search on the border. Another example that we can perform is that I know the train number. I know which train I would like to spot in TIS, and the rest is too many information, and I would like to point directly to this train. And we will assume that I'm still this rail cargo user, and I would like to check a train which is not running. It's already in the past, and for that reason, I will go probably in the previous month, 22nd of February to 23rd of February. I know my train is not a passenger train already, and it's not a national train, so I will remove those. I don't want to receive any engineering, locomotive, nothing like that. I'm just looking for a freight train, and that freight train is 41127. By adding this to the train number field, I can perform the search, and I will get directly the one result, the one exact match that I'm looking for. And doing that, it allows me to have a short, let's say, preview of that. So it gives me information where it started and where it arrived. I get also the timetable information together with the date and what were the actuals at this point. And I have a little button here with a small arrow. So if I click on this button, I immediately get an Excel on my computer, on my local PC. Opening this Excel, it will give me an overview of what I saw on the previous screen. So from left to right, I see all the information. The train ID, it's an internal number of the application. And then we get the plan, what was the origin, what was the destination. I can filter here, I can type, I can write, and get all, let's say, information at one glance. The second tab, the details tab, is giving me the details of the run. So I get the from location and slowly how the train moved through time. And I get the status, I get all the planned and running information in a very detailed time. So I can apply filters and I can do more stuff here on this Excel. So I'm closing this one for now. So back to the application, I also can see and monitor the straight line, what we used to say. So here I had more, let's say, more than one trains, and the application was able to link this train. So if I go now to the more details, a new tab is opening, and from top to the bottom, I will see I have some tabs, which gives me some kind of information, which is the train info, the current one, the train statistics, where in the train statistics, I can see the performance of the section, or if I had any data inconsistencies, meaning missing running, missing timetable, and I can see all the recordings about the delay of the train, what was here reported. I can see if there were any interruptions sent about this train and if it is resolved or not, and eventually if it is cancelled or if I received any train composition. The next tab is the incident information, and that will come later from my colleagues. And the last one is about the forecasts that I received. And here is the detailed information about which forecasts were sent for this train. And I can see I have multiple here senders about the forecasts, and we will come to that right away. So back to the train details, I have below that the header, which gives me the information about the train numbers, what was the international, national, and if there were more, you will see it here. What is the actual location, what was the delta time at that, the basic information from to, and what was the planned and actual distance. So this is also something important that I would like to explain, and in TIS, we are also measuring the distances of a train, the distance which is covered by a train. And we make a calculation about what was reported and against to what was actually running. And you will see some differences because there are these changes about the timetable information, and eventually the accurate information is the actual. In the end, we have the train type and what was the last message that we received from for this train. So if I now go to the top of this train, and starting now from left to right, on the left side we have all the locations that we also saw on this Excel. So this is the train run as it was moving through time. And we can see that also together with the plant information, which was received 1 or 2 days prior to the departure. We have also the actuals, we have the delay reasons, and if I hover over here, I will get also the information about the delay. We have the operational train number, what was the IM, what was the infrastructure manager, what was the railway undertaking, and if I have any forecast reported. So if I go now to the border section of this train, and I can spot the border section with a dotted line on the train, I can see that here in Passau and Stadtgrenze next to Bernstein, which is the border section for Germany and Austria, I linked, not me, but the application linked the train because it has the same operational train number. And that is the fundamental, let's say, operation of TIS. If I scroll to the right, I can see also some forecasts here. And here we see different senders about this location. And we received forecasts for these locations. And what this does in the background is to make some internal calculation and compare this information. So after comparison, we have this median forecast qualifier, and the best median forecast qualifier is displayed. So what you see here, it's the best forecast for that location. Moving forward, we can scroll down to this train, and after Austria, of course, follows Hungary, and here also we have the same operational train number, so the application did the same thing and linked this train into one single run. In the end of this run, we will see the train finally reach its destination. It's Soroksar terminal in Hungary. It is outside of Budapest. If we want to do another example, we can assume that now we know the train number, but we can assume that we don't know the train number. So if I move back and remove this completely, I will use the same time frame. Also, I'm looking for an international freight train. I'm the rail cargo user, but I know that my train was starting from Soma Campania, for example. I have it already, and it stopped at Kassel in Germany. So by giving this information to the application, I go to the search, and I see trains that pass through those locations. But I know that my train started from Soma Campania and ended in Kassel, and I can find it at the bottom of the page, at the bottom of the search. So by clicking the train, similarly, I can open the train details and see and observe the same information as before. What is important in this use case is that I can spot a different train number change. So from Italy, we have operational train number 62102, but from Austria side, we have 42110. So the application somehow was able to do that automatically. And that is the small magic of this application. And how that was possible, if I go to the train statistics and I go to the bottom, I will see that I have a train composition message, and that this train composition message tells me to link train 62102 with the train 42170. And that is the most, let's say, useful information for such cases. If I go back to the train information, and if I scroll down, I will see that from Austria towards Germany, I have the same train number, so the previous case was applied, and this train was automatically linked based on this rule. If all of the rules fails, we still have available the manual linking, as we used to say. So in order to make an example like that, we have also a dedicated filter, and we assume that the link status, it is already manually linked, and I don't want to receive any results about these locations anymore. I will use the same time frame, and by searching, I see that I have already trains linked manually by the users. So opening the first one and moving here, I will see that train 45257 is already linked with 69957. If I go to the train statistics and if I go to the train composition section, I see nothing. So this is a real case about a linking of train which was performed by a user in TIS. And how we do that? There is a very easy way to find and locate those trains, because we have a filter for that as well. And if I change the manually linked to linkable, I will get all the possible trains that are not linked by the application, and possibly they are available for linking. By clicking on the link search, the application automatically checks what trains are available to be linked within a 6-hour gap or 3 hours overlap for this train. So if I apply the linking, train 45289 will be one train with 69963. In this case, this is not the correct, so I will not apply the linking, but you get the feel how this feature is working. I don't have anything else for that, so at this moment I would like to ask you for your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Nectarios, for this, I think, very interesting presentation. I think it really shows how many functionalities this tool already provides. I also see that there is already a very active discussion ongoing in the chat, which is very positive. Right. And I also see that there have been already answers given to, I think, many of these questions, if I see it right. But I nonetheless open the floor. Are there any of you who are attending now here who would like to ask any questions to Nectarios? Please. Otherwise, I will also may have some question to you, but I think the answers in the chat, if I see it right, were answered so far. There was this aspect of manual linking taken up also here in the discussion. I see. My question from my side would be to you would be how much of this manual linking is still needed, and what is also the share between manual linking and automatically linked trains? Do you have any information about that?
Yeah. So the majority is happening with an automatic way. So if I can give some numbers, what it happened, for example, last month in February, we had nearly 140,000 automatic links. It means unique trains that were linked with automatic way, and around 600 with a manual way. So of course, there's a huge difference between automatic and manual, and I would say that's a positive thing. Most of the work has been done automatically. But of course, there are cases that the manual hand, a physical person has to perform an action.
Okay, thank you. Just one more question. Also, I understand also that this tool, it's, let's say, addressing different users, different groups of users. Of course, railway undertakings, terminals, also infrastructure managers. Also for us as rail freight corridors, actually, it's a definitely very interesting tool. So, question to you: would it, for example, be possible also to generate a list of, let's say, all trains which were running, let's say, between Budapest and Vienna during last week, irrespective of the route, whether they went via Hegia Shalom or whether via Sopron or whatever route they may have taken. So, and I would then get a full list of all these trains. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, correct. So what we're currently working on, first of all, is to visualize the corridors into the map. So you will have a possibility to check here the display options and display the corridors. Speaking about locations, we will also introduce a new filter that you will be able to select all the trains from 2 locations, exactly what you described, Gerard. And that will come in the next releases. So we usually make releases once every 2 months. And so we deploy around 5 to 6 times per year. And I'm pretty sure what you requested, it will be this year.
Okay, it sounds very promising. You already answered my other question, which I also would have had. What are your next steps, your next plans? You already gave some answer what you want to include for functionalities. So how is it with, let's say, automatic generation of reports? So that I, for example, say I would like to have an overview of the punctuality of all freight trains running between 2 locations during the first quarter of 2021, for example. Would it be able to generate such a report automatically, or is there still some manual interaction needed?
There is only one manual interaction needed. You need to come to our support tis@rne.eu, and you will define your request, and immediately one colleague of mine will reply to you and send you the first sample in order for you to check it if it is really matching your needs. And after that, if you give the green light, he will send you the report if it is one time or at a scheduled, let's say, every 15 days or every month. This is something that the application is not able to provide it from this view that we have now.
Okay, anyways, I see that it's at least possible to generate such reports, so with your help. So I mean, this sounds very positive. I'm just trying to see if there are any other questions from other participants. I don't see what. Now I see here one question from Bernhard Lekosek. What is the rate of matches between PICs or PLCs and messages received by national operational systems? Do you have an answer to this question?
I don't have a number right now, sorry, but I can check that afterwards.
Yeah, we discussed this shortly, not too long ago, exactly this point, because our aim is 100%, honestly. And we see that in most of the countries, we are very close to the 100%. Maybe in part number 4, Josef, I think you have the statistics together with Semco. We can show you already this statistic in which countries we already have reached the 100%. But nearly in every country, we are on a really high degree already. So we are above 90 to 95. And we are even now tracking reporting these messages where we're receiving a code which is not included into the CID, where no primary location code is available. So this was quite a matter a couple of years ago, but this is more or less solved already, and the reward will be given, at 1550.
Okay, excellent. Yes. Maybe one last question from my side. You're still aiming at also increasing the geographical coverage of the tool, or I see that practically more or less all of Europe seems to be covered. But do we have any further plans in this regard?
Graphical, you said about graphical?
Geographical coverage.
Yes. So currently, as I said on the beginning, we have 25 countries. and we have 2 more that we are testing right now, and that's Serbia and Greece. So shortly, in the near future, I believe for sure within 2022, we will be able to spot a train from the Piraeus port south of Greece to the northern part of Scandinavia.
Mm-hmm. Sounds excellent. Then one last question before we jump to the next presentation. Is it possible to receive via the system some kind of, let's say, push messages so that I don't need to, let's say, enter into the system and look up what I'm looking for or what I need for information, but that I get it, so to say, if there is a certain event happening that the train is entering a certain section or is a certain delay or whatever it may be, that then I receive a push message about this fact?
Yes. I will share this directly since I'm sharing the screen. And in the near future, because we are working on that as well, I have it available, but it's not distributed to the user community yet. We have the email notifications. So with the email notification, you will be able to create a new, let's say, event rule. So you say, for example, I want to monitor the specific train, what time it will reach its destination. And when the train that you specify here, it reaches its destination, you will receive an email on your mailbox, and you will not have to connect to the application and monitor all the time when the train will be there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, sounds very good actually, and yeah, it's a very versatile tool apparently. And yeah, I see no further questions, and we have also reached now the time limit for your presentation and questions answer session. So with this, thank you very much for it, and I would like to hand over the floor now, or the screen rather, to Peter Sziszolak, to your colleague, and who will give us a presentation about the TIS support for incident management. Please, Peter.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. So I would continue in the functionality of the TIS. On the last screen, you can see it immediately next to the email notification. There is a tool which is mostly used by the infrastructure manager dispatchers to inform about unwanted events about the incident. I'm not going to present the functionality directly on the TIS tool, as it is mostly used, as I mentioned, by the dispatcher. But I would like to provide you with all necessary information, how it can support you and which information you can get from it. So I divided the presentation into the four main parts, where I would like to inform you about the history of the tool development, the main function of the tools, what are the benefits of the tool, as well as what is the further development that we are still working on it and improving the tool. So I would like to start with the introduction, what was done in the past. We know very well that any incident is an unwanted event in a system and usually has negative effects for the railway, especially except the activities during such an event which are connected with the repair of the damaged infrastructure. The effect can be also on the transport itself, and in a major cases when the major disturbance occur and also the capacity is reduced. There are the tasks for the infrastructure manager where they need to agree how to treat the trains, which train can continue as there is planned, which train should be parked or substituted, for example, with the bus services. Also, there is an important part of their tasks to inform all involved partners on the train run and affected items that something happened and needs their attention and should be solved. In the past, this process was done via the phone calls and the exchange of Excel sheets, or sometimes and didn't happen at all. And the RNE, with support of members, developed a tool which was called Parkour Run, and since 2018. It helps to manage these cases and support dispatcher. So from 2018, RNE provided provided its members, the dispatchers, with the tool TCC.com, where the train-related messages, also event-related messages and email notification was implemented. And this somehow helped to reduce the language barriers, remove the language barrier between the dispatchers. And also the tool parkour run was implemented, and this was intended to handle the incident and support them in the communication and exchange the necessary information. With the implementation of the TIS 2020, there was 2 new tools implemented. The email notification function was presented with my colleague Nectarios, where you can set automatically the filters which shall trigger the message sending to you, and you can be informed without accessing the TIS directly. The second very important tools was the incident management tool, where the improved TCC.com events-related messages were implemented, and complete parkour run functionality was transferred. So what is the main aim of the tool can be seen on the right side, when the main pillars are to describe the incident, to inform about that, to manage it, and also to make an archive of it. So these 4 main pillars are the part which describe the IM incident management tool, how it works, and what is the main aim. So we are defining the interruption. We are providing all necessary details about it to inform all involved partners who should know that something happened, and what is the effect of the incident. Also, the users can find all recorded incident in the TIS on the map, so you have the graphical overview of it. You can also identify the affected trains. You are also informed via the email notification. And for the dispatcher, there is a very important part that they can manage the affected train and also ask the neighboring dispatchers to handle somehow the train if there is necessary rerouting or should be parked somewhere. Also, they can ask to park it on their infrastructure or provide some special capacities. Also, the very important part is also archive the cases and for the later analysis or preparing the case studies. So now I would like to present you in more detail what is defined and how is defined the interruption in the tool, which features are provided for the dispatchers, what they can report about the tool. So the dispatcher, if he is defining the interruption, he is starting to define the status of the interruption. Usually he starts with the status that it is opened. Afterwards, if he works with it, he can solve it and afterwards close it. For each interruption, there is the definition of the estimated duration, when it started, and what is the expected time when it should be solved and closed, and when the contingencies would remain. There is a next part which deals with the type of the train, where there is possible to select which type of trains will be or are affected with the interruption, and also for in which location the interruption happens, if it is for the point or the whole network is affected it, and also in the remarks he can in a details describe if it is the section or declare which cross-border points, for example, will be affected with it. The very important part is also for the community who are receiving the information is what exactly happened. Currently, there are more than a dozen of predefined specific reason defined there, so he's picking up from it and he can specify it in the additional remarks how what is behind the reason, and give more explanation which can help to IMs, IUs, terminals, and other TIS users. Also, what is the expected consequence? As I mentioned, that usually the capacity is affected with such a interruption, and there are the possibilities to identify the ranges if the capacity is reduced less than 35%, if it is between 35-75, or there is a total closure. The next details are also possible to present, which is related to the international contingency management. There is agreed and defined that every incident which lasts for more than 3 days and has an international impact is considered as an ICM case, and in a case that the dispatcher is declaring it, also he is declaring which RFC is responsible to manage the processes related to the ICM handbook and provide the additional RFCs which are affected with this. In the next part, the user, the dispatcher, define also how to treat the trains, which trains are affected, and the system automatically generates based on the input value which was presented on the previous slide. What is the number of the affected train? For this case, it is 27, and who are the affected infrastructure manager and terminals, as well as who are the affected IUs. He has the access to the list of affected trains, where he has several possibilities to work with them. First of all trains are declared as with the status of pending, and the task of the dispatcher, if he want to treat the case via the incident management tool, he need to define if he want to inform the involved subject about the train, what will be done, and to have them in the email notification. He need to change if the train will be delayed, if need to be rerouted or should be cancelled, or if in case of passenger transport the bus service should be used, and these trains are included into the email notification. If the train remain in the basic status, it's called pending. It is waiting for his action in the next step, and it's not included into the email notification, which will be presented on the next slide. So what are the information the dispatcher or the user who is using this tool and has the access? It is the very basic one. It is the train number, what is the train origin, what is its destination, what is the scheduled and arrival time at the interruption, what is the delay on what the train already has, and also this notification status which was explained above. Now we are coming to the part which is important for you, because here you are getting the information from the system that something happened. You are receiving an email, and it has three parts. The first part is about defining the message information, so we can call it as a headers, where the date and time is defined, which dispatching center you are at your location, and who sent the email for you, who defined the interruption for you. You are also receiving in the email the location of the interruption, the estimated start, and the description of the reason, also the expected consequences if related to the capacity, and also the field with remarks where the dispatcher can describe in detail what has happened and which steps are planned from his side, and you are informed about the status. As you know, there is open, solved, and afterwards the closed one. So each change in the incident management tool generates the email notification if you are involved, and in a case that the dispatcher want not only to, we call it notify the incident, but he want to publish it. It's mean that he want to include also the affected trains, where you have the train number, also the IU at interruption, and the status, what is planned to be with the train. In this case, there is a plan to reroute it. In the bottom of the email, you are receiving the direct link to the TIS system to check if you have these rights. You can check all the details which was included into the system by the dispatcher, and you can check them what is relevant for you. So as I mentioned, there is two scenarios of for the incident management tool, and it is up to the dispatcher if he want to only share the information with you and inform about the interruption and its consequences. This is the situation which is covered with the previous, which was covered with the previous TCC-COM functionality, and he is sending, or he's storing the defined interruption with the function, with the button notify. He's informing about what happened, but there are no affected train included. This is the current situation. At the end of the presentation, I will tell you how it is going to be changed, because there was a request from the user. If the dispatcher decided only to notify you or all stakeholders involved in this incident, there is no after process following. So he is only recording that something happened, and he is describing what are these elements of the overall situation. So, but if there is a plan to treat also the trains, the dispatcher is selecting the publish button, and in that case, if he set up the status of the train that it is not pending, but he selected one of the possibilities, if it is delayed to be rerouted, cancelled, or the bus service should be used, it is included into the email notification you are receiving, and you also you inform if something changed with the train, and you are receiving the notification. So this functionality is done when he's pressing the publish button. So what are the benefits of the incident management tool? So we can see that the implementation of the system into the TIS and of its usage by the members makes the communication between the traffic control center more effective. The tool helps to reduce the language barrier between them. The tools enable to notify all the affected IMs, IU terminals about the incident, provide the relevant information about the interruption. You are able to check in the TIS, if you in the main screen, if you switch that you want to see the interruption on the map, you can see on the Europe map where it happened. If you click it, you have the basic information about it, and you can go into the details addressing. So it is providing overview of existing interruption, overview of affected trains, and also there is a archive of the previous interruption, and you can check them. The tool is one of the benefits is to increasing the efficiency of handling of interruption with the support of identification of the affected train, exchange of information. So it simplifies the work with the train treatment. It's support also the contingency management based on the International Contingency Management Handbook, and provide the overall overview of the incidents on the network. So what happened after the implementation of this 2020 the system which implemented the incident management tool as a followers of TCC-COM and Parco Run? There were two main facts which affect the further development. It was the revision of ICM handbook, which was approved in May 2021, and defined the new processes which should be included into the incident management tool. There was also the decision agreement between the infrastructure managers that they will record all the incident based on the incident management handbook in the system. So from January 2022, the user should have the overview of all the incidents which is defined based on this handbook. It's mean more than 3 days international impact. So these two facts plus the requirements of the users, where for example the RFC want to have the improvement and the development in the tool, started a project which started immediately in April 21 and lasts by the end of the April of this year, where the main goal is identify the main necessary updates into the tool to transfer the requirements of the user, and also the facts which was defined in the incident management handbook to support the users and provide more information on it. So the main deliverable would be the overview of proposed additional developments, the clear functional specification which is requested by the users and which should be defined based on the incident management handbook, and also for us is important to have the budget estimation of the new function to prepare its implementation. The main benefit is more user-friendly tool and also covering the international contingency management handbook processes, and we believe that we will go further and improve the IMIM cooperation in case of interruption. So what is planned, and as I mentioned, the project is already running. It is divided into the two teams where the IMs is defining what is their request, and also RFCs what they are expecting from the update of the tool. So the first main change will be that the dispatchers in the future will have the possibility to exchange the information related to the incident with their national system without accessing the TIS user interface. So the national system and the TIS will be interconnected via the message exchange, and what they prepare in their national system will be forwarded to the TIS, and it will present it in a form as it would be done directly in the system. New two train statuses are planned to be added, train to be restarted, and train was restarted, and plus the color schema of all train statuses will be added for more swift orientation, what is ongoing and what should be done. For the notify button, currently I told you that there is no identified the trains which are affected, and in the new after the new deployment there will be the possibility to it will be generated, and you will have the possibility to download it even only notify button was pressed by the user. There are several RFC related function to be implemented, mostly from the incident mostly from related to the international contingency management handbook, where the ICM contact list, ICM templates pre-filled already by the system, so it's not necessary to generate and to prepare them by the RFCs. It will be prepared with the system, and also the notification for updates in the ICM cases is necessary, and also a report generator will be included following the annexes of the ICM handbook, where it is already agreed what report should be prepared. The team want to improve the closing and displaying all the cases and do the archive for all previous cases to be possible to work with them. Also, the general processes to restarting and connecting function, closure of the ICM cases following the agreed procedures defined in the ICM handbook, and also the train linking after the restarts if there is a train number change, not to have stuck the train in the station in a case that he left the location with a different train number. So this was the last information from my side, which described the planned improvements of the tool. I would like to thank you for your attention, and now I'm ready to answer your question if there is any.
Thank you very much, Peter, for this very interesting presentation. I think it's a very useful tool, especially having this as a, let's say, harmonized tool for usage across entire Europe. I see already here, let's say, discussion having started in the chat. which it's actually relating to the fact, I see also answers already given, that what is behind, to my understanding, is that maybe the usage of this tool has not reached that level yet, which might be possible or which might be desirable at least. So where do you see, let's say, the biggest challenges for increasing the usage of this tool to a much broader extent than it is used today, maybe?
So there are the two facts which will affect the further use of the tool. The first one, that from the 1st January 22, there is an agreement that all incidents which is related to the ICM, based on the ICM handbook, must be included into the tool. And second one, this automatic message exchange with the national system. So it will simplify the task of the dispatchers to notify or to include the incident into the system. So they will only generate the incident in their national system, and automatically it will be forwarded to the TIS, and it will present it in the same way as it would be done here. Also, we believe that adding the new functionalities and reflecting the user's requirements in the new requirements as a result of the project will increase the TIS incident management tool usage. And we also have some IAMs who want to present, in a case that the automatic data exchange will be implemented, they want to present all the incident which are on their network. So it's also will increase the usage of it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think this is seems to be also here, as I see from the comments, on expectation by especially from the railway undertaking side, which is, I think, is understandable. And then you already highlighted some aspects which would really help to increase, let's say, usage of this tool, linking to the, or let's say, the links to other national tools and so on. I see here now a number of questions or comments popping up in the chat. There was one from Anna-Rita da Silva Martins, so about when this, I think she found it very interesting and asking when it will be shared. I do not know the exact day yet, but I think it will happen quite soon after our, so I think during next week or so we will be able to share it. Yes, please.
Gerhard, I can also propose and offer the participants, if there is an interest, RNE can prepare a special dedicated meeting where we would present how the tool is working and what are the tasks of the user and what are the possibilities, how the train can be treated. But so we are ready to prepare a special dedicated presentation. It would take, I don't know, 1.5 hours. Our experts who are working on it, Ivana Tomekova and Julian Kiklin, would do it for you in the same way as Nectarios did it for the TIS as a system. So only to present that something is required, for example, in the chat, and we are ready and very happy to provide such a presentation.
Yeah, thank you for that offer. I think that's always useful. It's always like when you have to change from one tool which you are used to another tool, only to make these changes. Of course, let's say, yeah, it's also a learning exercise which you need to do. And so in this case, in this situations, of course, any, let's say, such kind of support is, I think, always very useful. I see some more questions here. We still have a few minutes. There's one question by Benjamin Svoboda. Would it be possible to add the number of the RFC in the drop-down menu where you declare a disruption to an ICM case?
Yeah, it's not a problem. It was also replied by our IT expert, by Nectarios, who confirmed it also from the IT part. Yes, it's not a problem to include it, and I will note it and ask the project team to reflect it in the new version, which is deployed.
Okay, then thank you. So this is answered, and then we have another question here from Stefan Lecho or Lecho. Apologies if I don't pronounce the name correctly. Who is asking do you have an overview of which IAMs are using the tool today?
Yeah, we have the overview. Excuse me, I haven't prepared a map for you. Who are using directly the tool via the TIS user interface. It is the most IAM, but there is the messaging exchange, the automatic exchange, is the subject of the project, which ends in April 22. Excuse me. So it is not implemented yet, but we want to do it. And for example, SBB informed that they want to provide us with all the incidents which are in their national system to provide into our one. So we have already and also the DBNets requested to have this messaging system exchange, automatic exchange of the tool.
Yeah, so that sounds promising. Yeah, also knowing from experience here from also infrastructure managers in our corridor, I know that especially to automatize, let's say, the exchange between national tools and tools like this here is of course always helpful and will probably and hopefully increase also the usage of the tool overall. Yeah, so I'm just looking also if there are any hands raised. I don't see that. Yeah, any further questions from any of you? Yes, I see here from Lars Deitag. Lars, please.
Now a hand is raised. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you excellently.
Okay. No, exactly what you just said. So many thanks, Peter, for the excellent presentation, and Gerd, what we just said. It will be important, and this will be a point of, I think, hope we will manage it in the next weeks for the discussion, that we ensure from the very beginning that the new generation of traffic management systems coming out of ERJU, out of flagship area 1, is providing automatically the information your tool needs, and is also using the information which can be provided directly, so avoiding as much as possible the manual intervention. So therefore, I'm really positive, looking forward to integrate this in our work.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I know that you're also involved in doing this work, and yeah, I think we can actually expect here some improvements both of the tool and the usage in the near future. So I think this is could be a positive conclusion from also your presentations and the discussion which we had here today. So I do not see any further hands raised or questions in the chat on this topic. So thank you very much, Peter, for your presentation. And with this, I hand over, we are on time actually, to two presenters. It will be Harald Reisinger and also Josef Stahl, both from RNE, who will tell us about Digital Train 2.0 and more about an estimated time of arrival. So please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. It can easily be that Peter will support us in the Eta project as well, as he's heavily involved in that one. First of all, it's a bit also the outlook of what are we doing in TIS at the moment, what's our rollouts plans and so on. But firstly, I would like to use the opportunity to answer one question. This was related to the messages we are having in the system, and sharing now my screen, and how much are they already, let's say, in line with TAF and TAP TSI. We just have, let's say, showing you the report about the different data providers. In this case, we are focusing very much now the train running information. I could have taken another message as well, so we have this finally for all the messages in the system, but this is a quite good indicator, the train running information. And here you see the messages you're receiving via the common interface, and the messages they are processed in TIS. Most of the problems, if this is not the same number, is because of let's say, not known primary location code in TIS or not in the CRD, so to say. And if we're comparing that, we see we're having nearly everywhere above 98, 99%, even 100%. We're just having one participant who is below the normal threshold. but as you see, most of them are already the messages we're receiving. They are sending the messages they're one-to-one processed into the system. Just to give you this kind of information. Do you have any question related to the message processing? No, very much fine. Then we can go. This was related to one of the questions before. Then we can start with the presentation for the meeting. We are showing you now that, let's say, that the rollout plan we have in mind, and a big part of the rollout plan is related to what we're calling the digital twin information. This is something where we have seen as RNE that it's good to have TIS as an infrastructure manager system, but finally we figured out that most of our users are, let's say, our customers. That's that's terminals and so on. And so we started with them together under the roof of RNE and initiatives. And you see here we're having UAI, and we're having Hoop again. We have the Ministry of the Netherlands in Rail Freight Corridor. IUs like DB Cargo, supported by Rail Cargo Austria, Lineas. We have the Port of Rotterdam, USC in, and all under the umbrella co-financed by the European Commission. So this is really a sector initiative here, and that's what I'm liking so much in this new version, that we are not seen as IMs, not seen as IUs, that we're seeing there's something for the sector to be done. And what I would like to show you how this is included in the whole RNE strategy, how to make the system with digital information a bit better. Some of you have this for sure seen already. What we're facing here is that we're having on the bottom part, so on the major part, there is what we call ground topology. This is exactly primary location codes, but also what do we have in WINF, the information we are using then for all other RNE systems. They are stored in this ground area. Based on that, RNE is not just, let's say, for TIS, responsible also for planning systems like TCR, capacity supply, and so on. And based on topology, we are building the topology. So the IMs are building the topology based on that, and coming next then to the path allocation. And finally, that's why we're in here using always the same topology, so the same points. We have in the train one where we have the TIS information. And there we have three major activities. One is the digital infrastructure information. This is this ground level. The digital capacity management, which is more or less everything which is related to path request, path coordination, capacity supply. And finally, what we'll report now, the digital twin information, just that you see a bit how this is included in the overall strategy. This is not just an RNE strategy isolated. This is the prime strategy where I have the big pleasure to chair this group. This is where all IEMs and the European Commission are sitting together and defining their priorities. And in the prime digital subgroup, which I'm chairing, we have seen these three major activities to be focused on. The digital twin information is what's included here, and you see now this is again a bundle of information, and we try to summarize this in this one picture, and then we will hand over to Josef, and in the Eta, please Peter join in as soon as there's something to be said more in detail. And in the digital twin, we're having the information related train one in forecast. This is already what we said. This is where Peter is heavily involved. This is the Eta. We have the connection from first and last mile areas. So where we say, yes, we are talking about terminals, we are talking about service facilities, harbors and so on. This is something which is going more and more into the TIS system as well. That's why we have the Hoop again. That's why we're having UAI and other partners to join in the TIS system. We know at the moment we are just connected to IM system, which is also our major source because it's really the single source of truth from our point of view. But we're also enabling tracking and tracing via GPS information. So this is also something we will report. One major part was enabling more functions in TIS, and one is the train composition message, which will inform you how this is functioning. We're also trying to always include existing standards. Here we have, for example, the Hermes 30 version 2 standard, what we including into the systems that are used, and this information most likely come from their use, they are able to send this information to TIS without rebuilding their systems and so on. Yeah, we already explained the train linking, but we'll also explain a bit how we can link now trains based on train composition messages, which is quite important. In the chat, we had the discussion if this is used for reporting issues. Yes, this is used for reporting issues. From my point of view, this is the only system which has the European view on the network end. So we're using this heavily for the rail freight corridors, for the train performance management, but also for the infrastructure managers. So that's what we are using here. And which was also a part, but we don't want to not discuss this today. This was the rail collaboration decision-making issue. We are keeping this out of today's discussion. That's a quite important topic, yeah, but not for today's meeting. What do we have now, let's say, implemented in 2021, and what is now our next aims in 2022, just on a high level? We have implemented the train composition into the TIS system, and we're having already a couple of trains where the train composition is included. This is completely done. Josef will go a bit more into the technical parts here for that area. We are able now to include ETAs, and we're able to measure ETAs from different suppliers. And we had with Lars is in the call, we have with Hakon, but also with Synfio, quite interesting, challenging. Is it possible to have an ETA with just having the European-wide international information TIS? And surprisingly, they are even better than the national ones in a couple of cases. So if we have seen then on the trains we are focusing on, both, let's say, systems, the system from Hakon and the system from Synfio have proven that they can even provide better information as the ones sometimes from the infrastructure manager system. And we have included first and last mile information. There we have a mapping. You see, we are always trying to map everything to TAF and TAP TSI because that's more or less our language, so to say. We are migrating Hermes, or we can translate Hermes in TAF TSI, and we do the same with the EDGS. What we would like to do now in 2022, high level, we would like to include a view of trains and wagons. So we having focused always on the train, let's say, level, and now we can also go here much more into the wagon area based on the train composition information. By connecting TIS with what we've seen, the digital, let's say, infrastructure information, we having proper distance information, and if you connect them with the train running information, we have also quite good distance information based for trains, but also for wagons. They are surprisingly good. We are doing here at the moment a proof of concept with some infrastructure managers. If they are as good as the national one, or even if they're sometimes, let's say, or do we missing information, I think we can here never be as good as the IM directly because they have the complete source, but our target is being 95% to 98% in this, let's say, having the same mileage information finally for a train one or for wagon. Yeah, and for sure, increasing number of participants, especially for the train composition message. I think this is general information, a bit what redundant, what Nektaris have shown you. We don't want to go too much in that area. Just adding one, we are doing regular this user satisfaction service, and we're having around 2,800 users every month in the system. We are reaching now the 3,000 users. I believe this is the most used business-to-business application in the rail sector we are having. If anybody knows a more prominent one, please tell me. I'm always asking this question. I've never found one. This is going up business to business and not business to customer. We're having 2 to 3 million messages of TAF TSI per day, 20,000 trains per day, and 600 railway companies where we are processing trains from them in the system. And we are quite happy that that you are happy. So by using the system, this makes it always quite, let's say, maybe this is one of the big parts of the success of the TIS system. What we did in 2021 or already 2022 as well, this was a big change in the data sharing principle. Maybe you know there was always a long discussion, are we allowed to exchange any data, meaning train running information, past details about the train runs, and who is allowed to see what? And before 2021, it was that we had always the requirement that if you would like to share information between a use or a use and terminal, they had to sign a data exchange agreement. And finally, we had up to 30,000, I think it was 27,800 individual agreements in the system. So if we connect every possibility that they were able to connect with each other. We have used the tough TSI framework saying, okay, this makes no sense because this approach of a user and IAMs have changed from nobody should see my information more to the way we would like to be transparent, in minimum for the train running information, pass details and train delay reasons and so on, and Eta information. There, everybody who is involved in the train run should see this information. So now you are more or less lucky if you would like to become TIS user and you would like to see what Nectarios has shown you before. You just have to sign in at RNE. You get a user agreement. This is completely free of charge, completely, let's say, supported by the AMS and also by the European Commission. Thanks for that. They are co-financing the system in most of the functionalities. And you see all the trains. They're belonging to you if you're part of the train run. So that's quite easy. That was really tricky before. So this has changed totally. But please be aware, this is not for all the informations we're having in this. For train composition message, it's really the opposite. There you who is providing the information has a dashboard and is telling us to whom he would like to share the information. So that's really, we are taking this matter of data confidentially really super serious. But we also would like to make the possibility that they can be used and exchanged by the different participants. Coming now to, let's say, to the big improvements here, and I said I'm sharing this with Joseph together. The first part is the train running composition message, which is a point we included to the train running information. So if you're now having a train run, the IUs, and it's also possible for AMS, are sending us the train composition, which is based on the Hermes 30 message, which is also closed to the tough TSI train composition message. So we were even able with ERA together to match this information that we're having the possibility to show this. We have here now a train run example, and then we're having the general train composition data we're having in. So we have the wagon information and also the general, let's say, overview about the train run. And there, Joseph, I would like to hand over to you to go a bit more into the details of the functions we have implemented in TIS. Joseph, the floor would be yours.
Okay, I will take over. First of all, I will introduce myself a little bit. I'm Josef Stahl, working for RailNet Europe since 2028, so almost 14 years. And I was responsible to roll out the train information all over Europe. Okay, I will continue now with the train composition. I will explain you some details why the train composition is so important for train linking, for instance. I will share my screen now, just a second. So, just a second. So, as Harald already started with the train composition, so why is the train composition so important for our business? As it was already explained by Nectarios and by Harald, that regarding the train linking, we have still some trains which are not linked, not automatically and not manually. And then we thought if we can use the information we get with the train composition for this purpose. Because if we compare trains from the IM1 and IM2, and we find out that the wagon numbers, which are unique all over Europe, and for instance, the total load is more or less equal, then we can assume that these trains are belonging together. we set additional rules. The train has to be on the same day, and the train has the two trains are not more than 20 kilometers. The points are not more than 20 kilometers away from each other, just to make sure that we do not link trains which should not be linked. So here you see more or less a picture how it works. What I already explained here. We have a train with the same, more or less with the same train composition, but with different train numbers. If we find now trains at more or less at the IM borders or in stations with the same settings, train composition settings, but different train numbers, we link them automatically. And as it was already explained by Nectarius in his presentation, now some railway undertakings providing us the information which train numbers are valid at a particular linking region. And this will be taken into account for linking purposes as well. On the right side here on the map, you see here now the map from Europe, from railway undertakings, which are providing Hermes 30. Hermes 30 was already mentioned by Harald. Hermes 30 is more or less the standard in the railway sector, in the railway undertaking sectors, to inform the next RU about the current train composition. But the Hermes 30 is not a tough TSI message, and then we started to check if we can map this Hermes, this non-tough TSI message to a train composition. And then we perform the mapping and we succeed to map Hermes to train composition. And as soon we have it as a train composition message, we can share it with all stakeholders in Europe. So because tough TSI is a common language, as I already mentioned by Harald, to exchange messages within the railway sector. So here you see now a report. If the railway undertakings providing train composition, we catch a lot of trains with different train numbers. Here, for instance, is a report from DB Cargo Belgium. They are providing train composition to this, and here you see on the left column, here this train number is different from this train number. And this is now reported. It's the same train, but different train numbers, and this will link them automatically. At the moment, we are catching around about 100 trains on daily basis, exactly on this information. And we now encouraging the railway undertakings and the IM, if they can provide this information, then we can catch more trains in the future and can link it automatically without any manual input. Because from the experience we made with the manual linking, in a lot of cases, stuff which is who is responsible. In some cases, if there are incidents, so the train linking has, there is no enough human resources to do these jobs completely. Okay, and with this approach, we can do it on an automatic way, and no manual linking has to be performed. Okay, here you see now our picture, how we map more or less non-tough TSI messages to tough TSI messages. On the left, you see this Hermes 30, which was already mentioned more than one time. So it's more or less the standard in railway undertakings. And the other one is EDGES. EDGES is also more or less information which is used in let me say, in the terminal universe, and it has a lot of additional information which are not more or less important for our business. But then we started the same approach as we did with Hermes, if we can link EDGES to tough TSI message. And from this more or less catalog of, I don't know, 100 elements, we took this one we need for mapping to tough TSI, for instance, for train running information or train forecast message. And we did a project with Hubak, and we managed it to map EDGES to train running information. And HUBAC is more or less as a container provider, very important container provider. Just an example, in Europe is sending already more or less train running messages which are being mapped here on the common interface. There is a mapping tool to TAF TSI, and now we can display this information on the TIS application, and further on we can share this information with all stakeholders which are allowed to see this information. Okay. Then I will come to the next point, is the connection, which is one important part of digital train, as well as Harald already mentioned, is more or less the connection of the terminals to the IM network. The terminals is a universe which is more or less not really connected to the IM network, and to more or less prepare the soil to be able to connect now information from the terminals to the TIS application. We did set up first more or less a location coding, because if the location is a main pillar in within the information exchange. Every message more or less has a location indicated, and if a terminal is not defined in the primary location database, then it cannot take part in the message exchange. And just to come closer to these terminals, we define now that a terminal can be defined as a primary location, as you can see it here, or as a subsidiary location, more or less as a child of the primary. And with this approach, we can now connect terminals to the IM primary location. And from the subsidiary location, we are getting now information, and we can now identify the subsidiary location in the train run. And with this approach, we are getting now almost continuously from two providers. One is the Status company in Germany. It's a terminal company which is responsible for around about 25 terminals, and from HUBAC. And here you can see it now. Here is more or less a subsidiary location. It's Busto Gallerate, and it's linked to Gallerate, which is the main station. And here we see the information. The train started at Busto with -9 before schedule. And here we have additional trains where the information is being displayed continuously. And you see here on the map, these are trains on Corridor Rhine-Alpine. And in the future, HUBAC will add almost all terminal where they can provide this information, and we can display it in this later on. Okay, the next point, or the next part of the digital train 1 and 2 is tracking and tracing based on GPS data. At the moment, we are getting most of the information from the signaling system. This is more or less a classical approach. If a train is passing a signal, the signal turns from green to red, and at this very moment, a message is generated with a timestamp, and the application, the legacy application, knows where this signal is and knows the train number, and train running information is generated. But this is always based on the signals. But in the future, we would like to get also information between signals, and to more or less to come to this approach, we will now monitor more or less wagons, containers, and locomotives, which are equipped with GPS information. And with this approach, we can continuously monitor moving elements, for instance, containers, wagons, and locomotives. And in some cases, we cannot identify the train, so we will create in the future an additional layer for wagon information. We call it at the moment satellite view. So in this satellite view, you can identify the wagon. And if we do not have a train composition for this wagon, then we cannot map it to the train. But it's like you send a packet, then you will know where your packet is, but you will not know in which plane or in which lorry the package will be transported. But you know the status, the location where your container will be or will be in the future. Okay, next slide. It's animated. Next slide is now Eta, and I will hand over to my colleague, to Peter Schischolak. He can continue with this few slides, and I would propose, if you have open questions, then we can answer it as soon as Peter is ready with his presentation. Thank you for your interest. Please, Peter, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Josef, for handing me over. So I would continue with the Eta program and what we reached in the digital train 1.0 and 2.0 in relation to the forecasting of the train. But before that, I would start again, as in my previous presentation, from the history. Somewhere in 2018, the RNE members agreed that it would be beneficial to exchange the forecast information among them to better manage the resources, to better utilize the capacity. So it started in 2018, and by the end of beginning of 2020, the IM members presented on the right side of the slides were able to share the forecast information among them and also provide it into the TIS system. The next phase of the Eta program was dedicated to the Digital Train 1.0 program, which started in 2020-21, where was a very challenging activity set up to implement and enhance ETA. It's mean the ETA forecast information which is generally generating by the artificial intelligence, and also there was a request to exchange to have the Eta from several resources and be able to present it in the TIS system. There wasn't it wasn't a satisfaction from it, because we also wanted to somehow assess how the Eta information is accurate. What is the qualifier for such information, and how we could be able to compare between several providers. So it was also the big challenge for us, and also the Eta Qualifier for all provided ETA. So this was covered with the Digital Train 1.0 and continue in the 2.0, where the network ETA and Eta preference is planned, and it will be presented on the next slide. So I must tell that thanks to the very good team in the project, which was composed with the URR external Eta provider, Synfio, Hakon, and also RNE, we were able to define and agree on two main indicators which represent the request of the sector, how to assess the Eta and be able to compare between the providers. So the first indicator, called Eta Qualifier, ETA Qualifier, is based on the request of infrastructure managers and RUs, who's agreed in the Eta working group in 2020 that if such a prediction has error less than 15%, it's accurate for them. So it's mean on the slide you can see that there is, if 185 minutes before the train arrival, there is a prediction which is accurate less than 27 minutes if the train arrives in the forecast point, because it is always assessed when the train arrived. Such a predictor has its prediction considered as accurate. The second group of the stakeholders, represented by the terminals and combined transport operators, had the different approach how to assess the Eta quality. They are usually assessing in comparison to the IMs and RUs who are who want to have the ETA during the train run in several locations, especially in the nodes on the cross-border sections. The terminals and CTO want to have the prediction only for the destination, but they have a different approach how to assess the quality. They decided to assess the predictor as accurate if 95% of his prediction, which are provided 4 hours before the train arrival into the terminal, so into the destination, is in plus minus 60 minutes. So this is the two way how we are assessing in this system the accuracy of the ETAs. During the digital train 1.0, we reached several goals. First of all, we were able to define the qualifiers, which I mentioned on the previous slide, which was accepted by the both sector, by the IAMs, by the IUs, and also with the terminals and CTOs. The next goal, which was reached thanks to the external IT companies I mentioned, Hakon and Synfio, we were able to implement into the TIS system the forecasts which are generated with the external Eta providers, set up the exchange of the messages, train running forecast messages between our system and them, and to present it in the TIS. How it is presented, you can see on the right side of the slide, where the ETA, and it was also mentioned at the beginning with Nectarios, now in the new system we are presenting in the main screen only the best ETA, and in the forecast tab we are presenting the all ETAs with the relevant indicators, with the median Eta Qualifier for each location. It is calculated for each location for the predictor, plus in the upper part where the name of the predictor is mentioned, there is a median for the whole network he provided any ETA. So you can also compare between the predictors in a general point of view. For example, the first predictor has 5%, second one 7%, third 13%. So the first, second, and third place in the accuracy is given. And for how are the terminals requirements reflected in the TIS? For the destination, you have a red and green circle for next to the ETA, and it's mean if the predictor is able in 95% to have the accuracy plus minus 6 minutes hours before the train arrival. So it is also presented here, and they can see it. In the project, we assessed the two companies, which I mentioned, Synfio and Hakon, and Synfio reach slightly higher accuracy as Hakon, but both of them are excellent in the prediction. And we realized that for the 120 trains, which was assessed during the 2 months piloting period, they reached the higher accuracy that the IAMs are able to reach in their prediction. Also, we were able to pick all these predictions for each location and also for the whole network, and this system is able to calculate the overall aggregated values for the ETA, so you are able also to compare between the providers. What has an unwanted effect on the all work was that we are not always provided from the national system for the international train with the same and the international train numbers, and the changing of the train numbers at the borders somehow affected also the quality and accuracy of the calculated values. But as it was presented, train composition message is the message which can help the whole sector to significantly improve the data quality and overall international train runs in the system. What are the next steps? As you see on the first slide for the ETA program, there are the two elements presenting the network ETA. Here we want to select the external ETA provider who would be able to cover the whole network where we are receiving from the IM's timetable information and also train running information, which is in anonymous way, anonymized form provided to the external ETA provider, and they are sending back the calculation of the relevant ETA value. During the last phase of the digital train 1.0, it was the autumn and winter 2021. We tested it with Synfio, and they proved that these external companies are able to cover the whole European network where these two messages are exchanged. Also, there is a next idea which came from the Infrabel, and they proposed within the ETA working group to improve the quality of the predictions and introduce so-called ETA preference, where we want to take into the account the situation what is already known during the train run. For example, if the IU knows that that during the train run in one location which will come, he's not able to continue with the train due to the fact that he need to change the train driver or he need to change the locomotive, and he knows about that, he's providing the specially adapted train running forecast message with element preferred ETA, and this information is forwarded to all predictors and also presented in a different way in the TIS, and everybody who see it can know that there is no expected the train departure from that location before this time what is presented there. We are currently working on it. We are defining the procedure, the rules, the message adaptation, and also the proposal into joint sector group handbook, how to adapt it, and this will be during the 2022. I believe it will be agreed, and we can test it also in the pilot testing how it works in the reality. So this is from my side related to the ETA. Thank you very much, and I know if we are going to open the section with discussions, or is there anything else?
Yeah, thank you very much to all of you for this very comprehensive presentation. I think it's a really ambitious project, but also very important project. And I see already during your presentation there was also, let's say, intense exchange taking place here in the chat, and I think most answers were actually answered already in real time already. So that's very good. I understand there were a number of questions regarding the primary location codes and maybe also subsidiary location codes and how they are assigned. So as I understand this was already answered by you. Your colleagues, and yeah, one question maybe, because we're a little bit behind time, but one question from my side would be, how is it with, for example, we're talking now about terminals, intermodal terminals. How is it, for example, with industrial sidings, maybe for example, to the automotive industry, factories or car factories, or to chemical industries and so on? Let's say these kind of sidings also, technically it would probably possible without any problem, but are there only cases where these kind of sidings are included in the system as a, yeah, probably as a subsidiary location code? Or are they disappearing into, let's say, a kind of black box out of the system if they enter these sidings?
May I answer your question? We have one applicant, which is First Alpine in Austria, and they have some star plants in Austria. And these plants are already more or less defined as a subsidiary, and we will soon start to exchange information with these companies from and to. Yeah, they are running trains from this more or less from these sidings to the ports, Richtung Koper and somewhere else in Europe. And then we will get the information from this star plants, departure or arrival, and it's quite similar as we already showed to this more or less plants are defined as subsidiary location and linked to the next IM primary location. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for this information. This was interesting. Good to hear that there are already, let's say, some good practice or some cases already where this is implemented. Of course, it's then a question of time to roll out this over
exactly.
all sidings concerned. But there are already some cases where you can show that it is working and it is actually done. So very positive.
Yes.
That's, I think, a very positive message. Then I see here one question from. I have to see from Pascal Truniger. Is the full functionality already rolled out and available in TIS? Who of you wishes to answer to it?
I can answer it. So it's already implemented in the TIS, but to cover the network ETA, we must agree with an external ETA providers on the contract in which condition it will be provided. TIS is already adapted and is able to present, but it is not covered with the contract because there are also the confidentiality and plus the business conditions.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So we have an answer here, and yeah, I think this is a topic which definitely would be deserve to be dealt with in even more detail and also in further occasions. But I think we had a very interesting presentations here, very good discussions. I would just like, before we're coming close to the end, so just like to share my screen again. Also to inform you that this was the second session now of Rail Freight of the Connected Corridor Network and RNE Europe, but there will be a third session. And this third session will take place, I hope you can see it on the screen now. This session will take place on 28th of April, also from 14 to 16 o'clock, 2 hours again. And the subject of that session will be the CIP and the RFP, so the Customer Information Platform and the Rail Facilities Portal. And there we will have a number of very interesting presentations again about this issue. So I really hope that you found this session today very interesting, and also will join the third session in April, end of April. So thank you very much to all of you for your interest, for joining this session so numerously, and also, yeah, and Lord, let me also say that now here today I'm sitting in Chopron. It's a wonderful, beautiful sunny day, but we also have to think about that just east of our country here there is war raging. So it's the unpleasant, let's say, background which we are all facing just now, and let us hope that to the next session, or let's say rather as soon as possible, we will have peaceful conditions even in that part of Europe. So if we would be in Ukraine now, we would not be able to have such a session, but probably sit in a bunker in best case. So let me express that we will have this better conditions and peaceful situations in April or as soon as possible. And with this, I would like to thank all of you for attending the session today. And as I said, the session will also be available on YouTube, and the material will also be made available to you. So thank you very much to all of you.